Hello and welcome to the W Series Esports League. We are getting to the sharp end of the competition. We have just 3 rounds left, but still 9 races. And 3 of those races tonight come from Mount Panorama or Bathurst in Australia. And I'm delighted to say, joining us for the ride tonight are esports commentator Luke Crane and racing driver Billy Munger. Billy, I think it's fair to say that last week we had some of the best racing that we've seen in this esports league.
Yeah, we really had some great overtakes, particularly around the outside of 130R. I mean, that's the sort of caliber of driving you see in the likes of F1 from the likes of Lewis Hamilton and stuff like that. So it was really good racing. It was clean, it was fair, there was a lot of respect, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether that transfers over to today's races. Obviously, Bathurst is a completely different track to Suzuka, but still, it'll be a challenge.
Yeah, it certainly will. Look, have you got your breath back yet? Because I think you're going to need it, because tonight is another great racetrack. We're going to the mountain.
Yeah, the mountain, the stuff of legend. Unbelievable. Open wheel cars at Bathurst, only in sim racing. Really excited for this one. I feel like over the last few weeks, at the start of the championship, let's say, there was big moments, but few and far between. I announced that, the esports series has finally arrived at Brands Hatch, but then every single week now, we're just getting huge moments where I lose my cool. I can't commentate. Billy even gets excited, which is ridiculous. And well, we're at Bathurst today, and I'm expecting so much more.
Well, last week, as we've been saying, the racing was great, particularly if your surname was Garcia, because we had 2 Garcias on the leaderboard with full points. In fact, Marta Garcia won 2 races, but it is still Garcia who is at the top of the standings. But she is being hunted down by the double winner Garcia last week. She's now 51 points behind. Arina Sudakova has dropped to 3rd place. There are just 7 points separating 4th, 5th and 6th. Ayla Agrin has moved up to 7th, and then just 15 points separating 8th to 12th. So lots of tightly bunched groups. But Luke and Billy, in fact, things are getting tighter at the top. But realistically, do we think that Marta Garcia can catch Garcia? Luke, I'll start with you.
I think it's on. I really do. I think we're obviously going to see a clearer picture at the end of today at Bathurst. Anything can happen here. Like, genuinely, anything can happen. And as crazy as this sounds, I think Garcia is now the underdog in terms of overall pace in the Esports League. I feel like Marta Garcia is the one to beat right now. Of course, there is a big old margin for Marta to indeed try and overturn. But yeah, I think Visser is, for the first time, has got some serious pressure on her shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be so exciting. We've been talking about Marta Garcia, but the other driver to win last week was Belen Garcia, and I caught up with her earlier on. Well, Belen, lovely to see you. A great win last week. I imagine you're still smiling because of that. How special was it?
Yeah, I still can't believe it, and it was so special to win a race in this series, because I started so badly that I can still not believe it, and I'm improving a lot, so it's like a good gift.
Now, it's not just motorsport that you're really talented at. There's athletics too, and I know that you are unusually a pole vaulter. How do you find time to train for both?
Yeah, it's hard to find time. It's hard to find time even for one sport and studies, so imagine 2. But yeah, when you like what you do whatever you need to get in there. But still, I had to choose in some way to train more for one thing or another. And yeah, it's sad, but I want to keep doing it, even if it is in a lower level. But yeah, it's sad to stop doing some things, but it's what we have to do.
Yeah, you made a difficult choice. When it comes to difficult things, there have been plenty of difficult circuits on this W Series Esports League. It seems that we say the same thing every week. We've gone from Suzuka, which was pretty tough, although you did very well, to Bathurst or Mount Panorama. How tough is this one?
Yeah, it's as tough as it is. I mean, there's no easy racetrack in this calendar, so we have to be prepared for every round. And it's still a special racetrack. They all are, so it's a special motivation and extra motivation to prepare it well.
Thanks very much, Belen, and good luck for tonight. Now, Australia is where one of our racers, Caitlin Wood, comes from. She is one of the hardest working drivers on the grid. Let's find out a bit more about her.
They are side by side here, like we're witnessing right now with Caitlin Wood. Wood then is in P3. Caitlin Wood's got the job done.
My name is Caitlin Wood and I am from Newcastle, Australia. I would say I am goofy, I am very dedicated, and I'm fast.
Wood has been getting better and better and better.
When I was living in Australia, I started in go-karts when I was 7, you know, family hobby, and then it progressed into Formula Ford. I built my first race car with my dad, and that's how it got going. W Series is extremely important to me purely for the fact that there's nothing like this out there for women, and it's amazing to see the W Series take a stand, obviously, to help women in the sport. There's a lot of people out there that genuinely just need help, and that's where the W Series gets involved, and it's like giving us the funds, the experience that we need to keep moving forward. I'd probably say my biggest competitor would be Naomi. I think we are very, very close as friends, and we respect each other a lot off and on track. So I think she's a great driver, and I think we always push each other. It's quite interesting. We always make each other go faster.
Oh, that's a beautiful move there.
I think my personality makes me stand out more than anything. I'm very open, I'm very honest, and I'm confident, and I'm here to do well. I work extremely hard, and I have over the years, and I just want to keep moving forward.
Well, always great to hear from Caitlin. Let's just remind you quickly of the format. We have 3 races tonight. Race 2 is a reverse grid, and there are points from 1st to 15th place. But now, though, let's get into qualifying for race 1 with Billy. But first, Luke Crane.
Thank you, Lee. We're here in Bathurst. Then it is round 8 of the W Series Esports League. New South Wales, Bathurst is very well known for its GT cars with the Bathurst 12-hour and V8 supercars. But today, we bring in the W Series. But I can't do this on my own. My name is Actual Vision, but I'm joined by Billy Munger. How you doing, mate?
I'm really excited for this one. It's going to be some good racing. Bathurst, I've never had any experience of driving it in real life before, but only on the sim, and I can tell you now I crashed a lot of times. It is action-packed.
Yeah, it's one of those circuits where it's kind of just keep your nose clean, see where you are with a couple of laps to go, and then gun it, give everything you can. It's just such a tough-natured circuit. We don't see open-wheel cars here very often, but we do get that treat today. And while some of the first times are indeed coming in, we did see a 2:05.8 in practice from Visser, and she is the quickest as it stands. And a 2:06.4. Marty then second with 1.1 second off the pace. There we go. Caitlin Wood, 0.4 of a second off the pace now in second spot. But it is Visser. Visser is still the quickest week in, week out. I said she might be a bit of an underdog here today, and she's proved me wrong already, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great banker lap to get in. And I think we've seen that in a lot of the qualifying sessions so far, that if you get that first lap sort of within half a second of what we see the quickest time in practice, then it just allows you to push on the last couple of laps, and you're not so worried about making a mistake and running wide. So she's definitely got a nice little margin in to play with there.
Yeah, if there's ever a circuit to get a banker time in that's close to your PB, this is the place. You can really push the limits of this circuit around the mountain section that we are just heading onto now with Bell and Garcia. And the closer you can get to those walls, the more lap time you will find. But ultimately, it's high risk, high reward. So again, the importance of that banker lap is huge. Bell and Garcia then currently 7th position as we watch it come over the mountain section as you come down in towards the cutting and indeed the dipper. We'll see the dipper in a minute, which is a very scary corner. You completely lose all sense of feeling with the car here. There we go, drop down. You just got to hope that the car sticks and the aerodynamics does its work, and Ben and Garcia, they're successfully negotiating it. It's all good doing it in qualifying, but in the race you've just got to be a bit more careful, because you might, and very rarely, but judging by these drivers over the last few weeks, Billy, we might see some side-by-side action through that section of the course.
Yeah, I mean, if we see some side-by-side action from there, I can't imagine it being clean. As much as these drivers have got a lot of respect for each other, it's just so narrow, and like you say, there's so many moments coming down that hill section that the car goes light, and it's so hard to sort of balance the throttle and control the bleed off on the braking and manage that well, especially with a car next to you. So as much as we want to see side-by-side action, we also want everyone to try and finish, and I think if you might see some people get a bit brave, and that could cost them points, and sort of they may retire on a circuit like this.
Yeah, this is the calm before the storm, Billy, isn't it? We're a bit reserved right now. The excited Luke and Billy will indeed reunite, I'm sure, today. It's going to be... I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this since the track list was announced, well, many moons ago now. Was it a couple of months ago? Just over? Marta Garcia up onto the front row then. 2.5 tenths of a second off of the pace of Visser. I believe they've all got one more opportunity here with 3 minutes left of qualifying. And, well, Marta, pretty good again off the line. Very, very important that you get into the lead of this race as soon as you can, Billy.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, leading through the first lap, I think that gives whoever is in the lead a massive opportunity to open a gap up. Following through that sort of section again with the lack of downforce on such a narrow circuit where the walls are either side of you, I think for a confidence, having clear track and being able to pick your braking points and stuff like that on the first lap is going to be worth a huge amount of lap time, I would have thought. And we can see Marta Garcia there. Wow, that was the car control to keep that one out of the wall. That was impressive stuff.
Yeah, that may have been more luck than judgment there. The rear definitely did step out. But if you want to maximise your lap time, of course, with only one more attempt here, it's kind of, if you've been it into the wall, at least you've given everything. So you can see Marta really is on the limit right now then, as we head right over the top of the mountain. We're on a peak right now as we now go towards our descent. And wow, this is looking a pretty good lap time here. Again, as close to the walls as possible, maximising that lap time through the dipper they come. Wow, down in towards the final part of the mountain section. And it's a long run down that Conrod straight. Down in towards the chase. We won't see Bradley Walsh today here, but you know the chase is a very, very technical corner. Got to make sure you do indeed hit the apex. And well, Marta Garcia there making a bit of an error there, Billy. And well, we say about high risk, high reward. You don't want to be doing that in a race.
Yeah, I mean, she's. I think that just proves the Visser's banker lap how important that was, because you could see there she's making mistakes the whole way through that lap, really pushing the limit. She knows who she's fighting in the championship. And she wants that pole position. She hasn't had that in the last few races, and she's had to do the hard work when it comes to the race. And wow, Visser again, another 3/10 improvement. She's now half a second quicker than anyone. So when it comes to qualifying, she really is showing her dominance.
Yeah, she really is. We've seen a couple of moves and shakes there. Looks like Sidakova may have grabbed a couple of spots there at the death hit in qualification. Visser, though, by the looks of things, is golden for pole position. Unless someone like Neria Marti, looks like she started her qualifying a little bit later than everybody else. We've still got 1 minute left in this session, so every reason to suggest that she might be able to find that extra bit of time. Currently sat in P5. As it stands, she'd love to be on the front 2 rows here. Would need to find about 1.5 tenths of a second to indeed overturn the deficit to Agron. But P5 then for the Spaniard, of course, Neria Marti, looking to add to some incredible performances over this esports series. Not quite really being consistent as, you know, her other fellow Spaniard, Marta Garcia. And I did say, again, Marta Garcia was probably the quickest over the course of the championship at this point. You know, the last couple of rounds, she's got the most points. But Visser, she's come out the gates here, absolutely flying. But it's all about that start. She's not been nailing the starts as consistently as Marta Garcia. And, well, can she get to that first corner? Can she get to hell in the lead?
Yeah, it's quite interesting here watching on board with Neria Marti, just seeing the differences in the driving techniques between her and when we were on board with Marta Garcia. You can just see, for me, I've just recognised instantly that Marti, they're a bit sort of uneager to open the steering up, using a bit more steering angle in general than Marta Garcia. And I think that's where you have to have confidence in the car around a circuit like this, to be able to use less steering and be confident that the rear is going to stick and you're going to have enough front end grip to get you down to the apex of the corners. So for me, that looked like a difference there between the two Spaniards, and it's proved in the lap time that Marta Garcia there had a chunk on Neria Marti.
Yeah, with the undulation of this circuit, having your hands crossed, you know, having too much steering input, not opening up, like you said there, as soon as you do, indeed, you lose all sense of weightlessness through many corners around the circuit. And of course, you can't, you know, once you've got the steering while you're mid-air sometimes, like with the dipper, you can indeed have a big rotation off of the back of the landing, if you like. Not saying they're going to be flying or anything like that, but it is Bicycle Visser then and indeed Marta Garcia that are P1 and P2. We're heading towards the race now as they all do indeed grid up. And well, can Visser get the start that she needs? I'll tell you what she has. And Caitlin Wood's got a bit of a fly here in P3 as they head then in towards turn number 1. And well, first job of the day done here then for Visser. She takes pole and she takes the lead into lap number 1. But a bit of a mistake there on the exit, and they're going to go side by side again here, Billy. And well, is this going to end in tears? Almost a bit of contact. There is contact in the background there. That didn't look too good. And well, as Visser got an absolute flyer off the start line, the second phase after turn number 1, it is Marta Garcia that leads and heading up towards the mountain. Visser now trying to bite back with that indeed slipstream up towards the mountain here, and well, it's already kicking off.
Wow, Marta Garcia there, after what was quite a poor start considering how good she has been off the line, she really did a great job in getting the exit out of turn 1 there, and that run up the straight, she managed to get the move done and really aggressive with her defence on Visser. And this is now where I think we're going to see, hopefully, for Marta Garcia, she'll be hoping anyway, that she starts to open up the gap through this section here. Visser, you can see here her vision slightly blurred for the apexes. She's trying to pick out her turning points, and obviously just having a car in your eyesight makes it a little bit trickier. So you can see the gap's about half a second now, and there are long straights on this circuit. So if she can hang with Marta Garcia here, she's made a slight mistake there, and you can see now her exit's compromised. This is a real important lap here for Marta Garcia.
Yeah, if Marta Garcia can indeed run away, she will be golden for at least the next lap until they go back up the mountain again for lap number 2. And it's now about 9/10 of a second, so we know that the slipstream is very faint here, but it is indeed still a factor as they come along the Conrad straight for the first time. And actually, you can see Wood is very close in behind, Neria Marti as well. So, you know, we're worried about whether Visser can catch up to Marta Garcia, but she's now got to contend with Wood and Marti. Marti closing in by the looks of things to Wood as well, as they come then down in towards the chase for the very first time in this race. The lead is now 1 second, which is Marta Garcia again. And she can have 3 performances again today like she has in the last couple of weeks, Billy. I think the championship run between the 2 top drivers is genuinely on.
Yeah, it really is. I'm so impressed with her composure. After getting a bad start at the first corner, it's so easy to then sort of look in your mirrors, miss your braking point, and actually get a poor exit. But the fact that she managed to maximise that exit and get the job done on Visser, when she obviously knew that that was what was needed to be done to take the lead of this race. And you can see now Visser making that one mistake while following and losing the downforce through the mid-sector of the lap coming down the hill. How much now she's under pressure again? It's the same place she got overtaken the first lap. Will she get overtaken again here by Wood?
When she goes defensive there, she's going to have a compromised entrance then up the top of the hill. Actually, no, she just opens it up nicely there indeed. And Wood just has to get off the gas ever so slightly, which now lends to Neria Marti. The gap now 1.3 seconds for Marta Garcia. But again, it's all good having a good lead at somewhere like Bathurst, Billy, but you need to be concentrating the whole time. There is no room for error around a circuit like this. We saw Marta Garcia actually make that huge error in qualifying where she lost pretty much the whole of the bodywork of the car, and we do not want to be seeing that in this race.
Yeah, this circuit is so punishing. You've seen it so many times over the years. One lapse of judgment, one sort of lack of concentration moment, and you're in the wall. And at a circuit like this, it being such a long lap, that can cost you dearly, and especially in a sprint race like this, it's okay, maybe a little bit more sort of feasible in an endurance race, but definitely no mistakes from any of these drivers we can see today. Actually, just looking down the leaderboard as well, one that's jumped out to me is Sidorkova, who's down in 15th, and Marta Garcia, with the form she's been in, I don't think she was really too worried about her position, losing second place in the league standings to Sidorkova. She has been the informed driver, but just seeing sort of Sidorkova down in 15th and her leading this race, it's got to give her more confidence for sure.
I legit think that Marta Garcia is looking forward. She's not looking backwards now. She's looking to try and catch up to Visser with, 9 races to go, including this one. I'll tell you what, Visser is looking backwards right now because we've got Caitlin Wood very close in behind. As we come up towards the end here of lap number 3, it's Marta Garcia that leads. Then Visser in second, 1.5 seconds behind. Wood then is in 3rd position. Marti, 4th spot then. Belen Garcia is in 5th. Agron is in 6th. Then we've got Tomaselli in 7th. Moore in 8th position. Schiff and then Woolwend in your P9 and P10. Alice Powell then is in 11th spot. Eaton in 12th. Rodest in 13th. Cook then is in 14th position. Kimalainen in 15th. And Pepper, well, she is in behind in 16th position, but I think Sidorkova has taken a quick repair here. She's a lap down, unfortunately. I think Alice Powell may be in that same position as well. But it's been a very good start by Marta Garcia. Visser under a little bit of pressure there over the course of that last lap, but she's warded it off. And, you know, what, 51-point lead here, Billy? P2's not the worst result in the world.
No, it's far from it. I mean, Visser, her dominance early on in this league has really allowed her to be pretty comfortable finishing 1 position behind whoever her rival is in the top of the standings. And what I'm quite interested to see here is Marta Garcia, even though she opened out that big lead on the first lap, she's not running away with it. Even with Wood pressuring Visser, their pace of the 2nd and 3rd position drivers here, they're keeping up with Marta Garcia here, and it's going to be interesting to see whether Visser can just open that gap out enough to stop worrying about who she's got behind her, whether she'll then be able to go on the attack and start taking the temps out of Marta Garcia's lead.
Yeah, we've seen in these races, even though it's only 15 minutes, the tyre temperatures do indeed they go through the roof. You know, the second phase of these races, whether it be the first 2 or indeed the feature race, even more so in the feature race. And Marta Garcia would have learned from that, and maybe just keeping those tyres in check is probably the best idea. And also, if you can afford to be able to take a couple of tenths off your lap time while leading a race here at Bathurst, it is, huge value for that. You know, it doesn't matter whether you win the race by 5 seconds or indeed by 500ths of a second. Just winning the race is the most important thing. I just think we're seeing Garcia here just leaning on that experience more and more as we head on board here then with Isla Green. She's in behind Bell and Garcia, so it looks like the front 6 have got a big old getaway then to the rest of the field. Tomaselli then 7 seconds further back, more 10 seconds further back there. No real battles happening in the back end of the field here. We did see a couple of incidents at the start of this race, which it's Bathurst at the end of the day. We do generally see that in any form of motorsport when it comes to Bathurst, and it's no different here with the W Series. And, well, it's not even race 2 yet, and we're already seeing that. Race 2 is going to be super interesting. But as it stands, it's still Marta Garcia that leads out here by 1.4 seconds. And I think the big factor here is that Visser, now she's managed to gap Wood by about 1.2 seconds. She can now maybe look forward and try and attack the race leader.
Yeah, I think that's what we saw earlier on, that she was looking at her mirrors. Wood was doing a really good job of pressuring her. We saw some real sort of close opportunities for Wood to make the move stick, but it is a very tricky track to overtake on, and I think that's what's going to make race 2 even more interesting, where even though the girls at the front and the sort of compared to the drivers at the back, there's quite a big pace difference. I think defensive, like being able to defend around here, is a lot easier because of how narrow it is. It makes the overtakes a lot trickier. And I think, to be honest, if Marta Garcia is really going to make inroads into the championship, it's got to be done in race 2 for her. She's got to get a strong start and stay out of trouble for 1 as well. But I think it's going to be whoever's more composed and is really aggressive with the overtaking in race 2 and gets that job done. I think that you can actually probably see more of a point sort of gain for one of the 2 drivers in race 2 than I think we'll see in race 1 and race 3, really.
Yeah, on board here then with Marta Garcia. If there's anyone we have seen show off their defensive credentials, it is Marta Garcia for me. She's been absolutely superb with the pressure being piled on from behind. And while Visser is P2 currently, 1.4 seconds behind, but we've seen last week at Suzuka, we saw at Brands Hatch that like Visser could produce moves out of nowhere. She almost did it at Spa as well into the final corner. If there's one driver on this grid that, you know, it doesn't matter how good you are defensively, you do not want behind you, it's Bajtska Visser.
Yeah, I still remember that Spa overtake. That was or the attempted overtake. That was actually insane of how far back she was going into that braking zone. I
still don't believe it. I don't believe it happened. It was that ridiculous.
I just don't really like that. It was such an aggressive overtake. No one was expecting it. We weren't expecting it, and maybe Visser wasn't expecting it. Maybe she missed her braking point. We never really know fully if she was entirely going for the move or whether it was just sort of a look that became an attempted overtake. But yeah, that was really impressive. That she didn't quite pull it off, but she's going to need to bring that sort of caliber of driving to get past Marta Garcia here, I think.
Yeah, like sometimes you can't really explain some moves that some drivers pull off. I'm just going to say it was like magic or something. I don't know at this point. It was incredible. But again, like you said, she's going to have to pull off something really huge here if she's to overturn that deficit to Marta Garcia. Again, you know, there's opportunities here along this first straight after Hell, up in towards the mountain, and then you've got the Conrod straight in the back, down the back straight as well, to make an opportunity for yourself. But you know, if they get really close up towards the mountain, there's really no way you can make an overtake. If you do, you risk both of your races. And again, with Visser having a 51-point advantage, I'm pretty sure she's not going to be too worried about attacking Marta Garcia at this stage. I think maybe if it continues to go the way it's been going over the last couple of weeks, if Marta Garcia can close that gap down potentially to, you know, we're looking at maybe 20 points, which I think is going to happen. I genuinely believe that's going to happen. Then you might see a bit more of an aggressive drive from Visser. She's going to have to start beating Marta Garcia more, just, you know, obviously to get more points, but more for her psychology in these races, because she's been used to being at the front and just running away with things so easily, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, what do I do? Well, I need to find answers. And Billy, you must have been in that position before, where you've, you know, had races where you just can't do any wrong, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you can't explain why you've not quite got the pace. So what will be going through Visser's head right now?
Yeah, I mean, it is so frustrating when you come out of a qualifying session and you feel like you've done a really good job. We've just seen a little lock up there from Bell and Garcia, so this could be interesting down the back straight here between Agron and Bell and Garcia. But sort of the mentality of a driver that thinks they've done a great job in qualifying, and then sort of I compare it to sort of a Bottas-Hamilton sort of situation in F1. No matter how good a job Bottas always does, it seems like he's always about a tenth behind Hamilton, and this must be getting pretty frustrated. But you can see there Agron getting the job done on Bell and Garcia down the back straight, and that just shows you that there are errors to be made and positions to be gained. She had a slight lock up there onto the back straight, and that was all that was needed to get the job done.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, it's going to be a bite back here by Belen Garcia. Late on the brakes, potentially, not quite so. And actually, forced a mistake there by Agron, and again, just got into the mirrors. And wow, making a move up the inside through the final corner with 4 minutes to go here. And Belen Garcia and Agron are having a hell of a ding-dong right now then, up towards then turn number 1. And you see that Agron just gets squeezed out there by Belen Garcia. And we're seeing more and more of that. These drivers are being a little bit more tentative over the the first few weeks or the first half of this championship, but now we're seeing them squeezing them onto the entrance of the corner, so they lack momentum coming out of the corners. We're starting to see like proper racing here in sim racing. A lot of these drivers wouldn't have had the experience of others within sim racing, and now we're just starting to see the very best from them all. Belen Garcia, she would have been furious at losing P5, but takes it back as quickly as she lost it.
Yeah, it's a great job from her to get that move back, and Marta Garcia here, another second over Visser. Visser seems to be pretty set now on P2 and the points that she's going to get for that. Maybe she'll go for fastest lap as well.
I'm wondering if she might have some damage here. Might be worth going on board with Bites Visser here, because she dropped off very quickly. She's got some back markers to contend with, so that might be it. Well, let's just check out the front wing. That's where normally the damage is. If one of the front sides is bent up here, looks okay. Looks okay. So maybe just struggling with the back markers here. I think Marta Garcia caught them on the straight going up towards the mountain, and Visser caught them on the mountain, which is not ideal. That's for sure. And lost, well, it's now 3.5 seconds here. So Marta Garcia is going to be absolutely buzzing there in P1. Visser, not so much. And well, did anyone manage to catch up through that phase there? Caitlin Wood, maybe? No, Caitlin Wood's losing time as well. Neri and Marty is taking advantage of this, because now Caitlin Wood maybe under pressure. 0.8 of a second, 0.4 and Belen Garcia. So the battle for P3 is on here. There we go. So we're on board then with Neri and Marty. She's currently in what would be P4. Oh, Belen Garcia, she's made a mistake then on the exit of the mountain. She's now dropped down to 6.7 seconds. It was just about 0.4 there, so I'm not too sure what has happened there. But as you can see then, Neri and Marty trying to chase down Caitlin Wood. So the battle for the lead looks like it may be over here with 2 minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock. We may get 2 laps here. Not too sure. It depends when Marta crossed the line. I think, yeah, we're definitely going to get 2 more laps here, actually. But Neri and Marty then try and chase down Caitlin Wood. So this is what it's all about then, the podium spots here. And, wow, they'll obviously want to try and pick up some pieces if anyone does hit a wall, because it is Bathurst at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how far you're in the lead. The walls, they don't take exception to that. If you hit it, that's game over.
Yeah, it really is. And, I mean, we've seen some smart driving here. And this is where your sort of race experience, and like we talked about earlier, how the girls and the drivers are getting more aggressive in general. I think that spatial awareness of knowing how wide your car is, and sort of obviously in the sim world, that's a hard thing to judge in real life, let alone in sim racing. To make that sort of clean racing that we've seen over the last few rounds, I think they're definitely more confident with that. And we've got Alice Power here in front of Caitlin Wood, and this could really play into Marty's hands. So you actually see Alice get out of the way there, but I'm not sure if Caitlin got a compromised exit. I think Marty might have as well. Yeah, it's back up to 9/10 the gap now. So. It's Marty still in the race here for getting on the podium, but she's going to have to do a great job to sort of claw that gap down in so she can get into the toe sort of range at about 6-7 tenths, I reckon. Yeah,
she needs a huge sector 2 here for sure. Great stuff there by Alice Powell, by the way. Great awareness. I think maybe Wood lost a couple of tenths there, not expecting Alice to get out of the way, but she got out of the way at the perfect opportunity, which is fantastic to see. We're seeing a lot more sportsmanship as the series has gone on. But as it stands, then it is still Marta Garcia leading by 3.4 seconds. We say she's been helped out by the back markers to gain that time, but she indeed got the lead on lap number 1. She started P2. Visser got an absolute flyer off the line. And then through turn number 1, just made a little bit of a mistake on the exit, got a little bit bogged down, and Marta Garcia has not looked back since. Caitlin Wood then, again, in P3. We're on board then with Neri and Marty. Neri and Marty not really able to close in. You're right, Billy. Needs to be around about 0.7 of a second to maximise the slipstream here. We'll be getting a slight toe, though, that's for sure, as they head then down in towards the chase for, I believe, might be the second to last time here. Marta Garcia, I believe, is just about to cross the line. I could be wrong. Well, there we go, around the final corner here. So with 11 seconds to go here, we're going to have 1 more lap remaining. And well, can Marta Garcia hang on? She has been the form driver over the last, I would say, 4 weeks now. And well, that form does not look like it's dipping whatsoever. 3.4 seconds to lead then to Bites Visser. And again, this is the difference between the Sidokovas and the Marta Garcias, because when Visser hasn't got race victories, she's managed to get the podium pretty much every single time when it comes to race 1 and race 3. And there's no difference here at all. So Visser, again, maybe not going to go out and get the victory, but she's still getting huge points, race in, race out.
Yeah, she's been definitely the most consistent over the league so far, and consistency wins you championships. It gets you points on the board, and you can see from her total going into this weekend of how that consistency has got her a big margin in the championship. Now Marta Garcia over the last few rounds has really been just in a league of her own when it comes to the races. I mean, I've been super impressed with the fact that it's not like she's fastest by a second every time in qualifying. She's normally actually a little bit slower than Visser, close, sort of within 1 or 2 tenths, which is what you'd like to see. But when it comes to the races, she seems to switch it into another gear. She stays really composed, and I think you see that in her driving now, that she's opened this gap up. I've not seen the mistakes we've seen in qualifying. It seems like in qualifying she's a little bit more tentative and a little bit more nervous with being right on the limit. But when it comes to driving at sort of that 95, 96% every lap, putting the lap times in, which is what you need to do in a race situation, she seems to be very comfortable in that aspect.
Yeah, well, as that was happening there, Billy, Powell lost out to Kimmerlinen. So Kimmerlinen now up to P40, and they're battling for the final few points positions here. And I'm speaking to a few beginners in sim racing actually just today, and they were going, oh, I'm doing this lap time here, I'm doing that lap time there, I just spent 10 minutes on the circuit. And I just said to them, do 30 laps around the circuit, tell me how long it took you to do that 30 laps, and then do another 30 laps and see if you can take 10 seconds off your time there. It's all about consistency, which is Marta Garcia personified. She's been absolutely incredible here today. Started P2 on the grid in race number 1. Did not get a flyer off the line. Visser did, but she got the move done on lap number 1, and she's going to cross the line, and it's another victory for the Spaniard and for Marta Garcia here in round 8 of the W Series Esports League. In second spot, then, it will indeed be Beitske Visser, and then third, by the looks of things, it will be Caitlin Wood? I think it was just about Caitlin Wood. Neria Marti then will pick up P4. We will get confirmation of that officially, but as it stands, it was Beitske Visser who came second today, and Marta Garcia has managed to close up a little bit more there. And Billy, you're talking about consistency. Marta Garcia has been just so good.
And the main thing what she is doing is she's consistently winning. She's not consistently getting podiums and sort of 4th and 5th places that we saw from her earlier on in the league. She is now a consistent winner, and she's got that winning mentality really nailed down. And for someone like Visser, she's not going to like to see that. She's going to be a bit frustrated, and as much as she's got a margin in terms of the championship and the points, she's going to be looking in her mirrors in terms of Marta Garcia catching her up every single round over the last 3 rounds, I think it's been. So with 8 more races left now after this first race, it's not over yet.
But that's the end of race number 1 then. It is Marta Garcia then that strikes here at Bathurst, and Beitske Visser finishes in second spot. And well, let's head over to Lee then, who's with one of our drivers.
Well, somebody who finished 6th in our first race of the night is Isla Agren. Isla, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Some big battles in that first race with Belen Garcia. How was that one for you? Because it's not an easy racetrack.
It is definitely not. No, we had a good battle with Belen, and it's not an easy racetrack, and it's not an easy racetrack to pass that. So it was fun to have a fair fight with Belen, and unfortunately she got that one, but hoping to get back a little bit stronger for the next 2 races.
W Series certainly hasn't made this esports league easy when it comes to the tracks that we're visiting, but there have been some really classic motorsport circuits. Are you comfortable now with this Mount Panorama track? Because when you have 3 races a night, it's good to feel comfortable early because there are some decent points on offer still to come.
Oh, definitely. No, I've spent many hours on the sim to prepare for this race, so knowing the track should be fairly good, and I think my speed has showed it. I've gotten better and better each track we've gone to. But like you mentioned, it's been so much fun to visit all these iconic tracks. I'd only been to 1 in physical presence myself prior, so it was a lot. It's been a lot of fun to get the chance to race at these tracks.
Race number 2 then of round 8. We're here at Bathurst, and it's Sidorkova on the front row then with Redest. And then look at Kimmerlinen. She's a race 2 specialist. She's right up the front here in P3. To see how she performs here then. Up towards turn number 1, and Sidorkova has got that great start there, but she's got in there very acutely actually through turn 1. That's what happened to Beitske Visser on race 1, but it's not going to matter because Redest is not really close enough to take any advantage there. It looks like we've had a relatively clean start here. It's a very clean start actually from everybody as we head then up the hill. Tamara Pepper, of course, a race winner from previous rounds, currently in P4, and in behind there's almost 3 wide coming up towards the mountain. Pepper maybe looking for a little nibble up the inside, not quite going to be able to there, and it is Cook. Powell, Cook's made a bit of an error there, I think. Not too sure what's happened. We can See a little bit of smoke in the background, but she's dropped all the way down into P17, was battling for P5. And wow, look at this then. Pepper having a hellacious little battle here. Redest then making a bit of a mistake. Kimmerleinen maybe going to take P2. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Pepper, again, she can't really make a move at the inside. Kimmerleinen there with a little bit of a love tap as we go over the hill. And wow, it's Tasman Pepper up into the podium positions. And Silokova, as she does quite often in race number 2, she gets pole and she's able to drive away. And there's no different today. But it's the race 1 and race 3, sorry, where she keeps making mistakes. And wow, talking of mistakes there, Kimmerleinen taking a lot of curb there. Oh dear, that is huge. Oh, that's a huge crash there. Kimmerleinen was just a passenger in the car, unfortunately. And I'm not too sure who she took out. Was it Alice Powell? Oh, it was Alice Powell, I think. That was not good at all there, Billy.
No, that was not ideal. I mean, we were expected to see some action on that first lap, and it just looked like Kimmerleinen there got all out of shape, went on the curb and obviously tried to keep her foot in. And that caused a bit of carnage. We see some more people sort of change her position. I've noticed that Visser has actually managed to open out a few places over Marta Garcia. Actually, no, I think Woods has lost out as well, because she was the one who was bridging the gap between Visser and Garcia, but now they seem to be running pretty close on track together.
The battle for P2 is very hot here right now. Pepper is indeed ahead then of Redest. Redest now down to P3. Woolwellen is in P4. We've got Eaton in P5. Tomaselli in 6th. Then Marty and Moore in P7 and P8. And there we go. We've got Visser, Agron and Marta Garcia. So Marta Garcia, by the way, looks like Visser may have actually gained a spot here on Agron. And Marta Garcia has not been able to follow through the opposition as it stands. Marty's just made an overtake there on Tomaselli by the looks of things. It's been an action-packed lap number 1. A couple of drivers, though, I think Cook and indeed Schiff are in the pits, unfortunately. It's not been a good day, and I think Alice Powell as well. Definitely Alice Powell there. She just did like 3 somersaults in the air with the car. Kimmerleinen not really at fault there, if we're going to be completely honest, Billy. She was just a passenger in the car, took too much curb at the top of the hill, but unfortunately it's not only her race over, it was also indeed, oh well, we'll look at Marta Garcia's car, look at the front wing, and that's not good. You know, if she wants to follow Visser through here, she's got damage to that front wing, and that is definitely going to cost her, especially over sector number 2.
Yeah, that is not ideal. I mean, she was obviously trying very hard to follow Visser through. She knew that this was a race that she needed to make up the points. I mean, obviously seen quite a lot of the drivers obviously had some form of contact, but Marta Garcia, their front wing damage on a track like this, it's going to be very difficult for her now, and this is a real chance for Visser to sort of make those points that she lost in race 1 back up. And here we see Abby Eaton here with Wolvend, pretty close battle for 4th. Only 2 attempts between them. They got to keep it clean, and I think Abby Eaton, if she can sort of keep this sort of margin, she may be looking at overtake down the back straight.
Yeah, for sure. And this is what Marta Garcia needs to start thinking about. This is probably going to catch these drivers here, and if they're battling, that's where there's potential carnage for Visser. So Marta Garcia just needs to keep her head in check here, just get to the finish line as quickly as she possibly can, and just see what happens. It's one of those circuits Bathurst will indeed bite back. We're on board there with Abby Eaton. Lost a bit of time there then on the exit of the mountain. Down the Conrod Straight we come. And as it stands then, it looks like Wolvend is actually chasing down Redest as it stands. So Wolvend was under a lot of pressure at the start of this lap, but at the end of this lap, she's looking very good to maybe make a podium move. But it is Silokova that leads in 3.8 seconds. Pepper was in a hell of a battle with Redest at the start of this race, and Kimmerleinen, but she's now made herself 3.9 second advantage over 3rd, which is great stuff here. We're on board then with Bijska Visser, trying to make yet another overtake here on Tomaselli. Tomaselli's got a bent wing as well, and Visser, well, very easily makes that move stick there, and you can see that Visser has got a spotless car, which is absolutely ideal for her right now, and she is going to try and chase down absolutely everybody. Currently in P7. Next up then for her is Neria Marty, and there's actually 6.2 seconds up the road. So a couple of laps here where, at the very least, I would say, where she's got a bit of clear air to work with. We're on board then with Abby Eaton. Eaton looks like she may have closed back up here. So Neria Marty, Eaton P5, and then we've got Wolvend in P4, and Redest then is in P3. So they've all closed up here. But again, it's what they do over the mountain. That is the key section of this circuit here. Keep it clean. And again, like they say in poker, chip in a chair, and you've got an opportunity. And oh no, Redest makes a mistake there. And Eaton gets completely cleaned out. And that is not ideal. Woolwen then is going to be given, gifted an opportunity here of a potential podium. Marty now next up in P4. Redest in P5 as it stands, and Visser now is closing up. So I said she might have a couple of laps it might take to catch up to the rest of the field, but it's not quite working out here because of that big bit of carnage.
Yeah, that's really played into Visser's hands, because the higher she climbs up the leaderboard, the more the points that she gains from each position will be. And she's up to into the top 5 now. She's passed Rodesta and Marta Garcia, who was with Visser after the first lap. You can see how much that damage is really costing her. She's now about 4 seconds behind Visser after just a couple of laps running with that damage. So after controlling the first race, a bit of front wing damage, and it's playing into Visser's hands massively here.
Yeah, well, they've all been given a freebie there because Rodesta, I think, has had a big, well, she did have a big accident, we saw it, but she's now indeed dropping down the field. I think she's taken the option for a fast repair. Vulvend, though, Fabian Vulvend in P3 right now. This is a huge opportunity. Although she has got Visser behind her, closing in 5th position, but there's Neria Marti there, which is a bit of a buffer with 8 minutes 40 seconds to go. Could Woolwend indeed go out there and get P3? But as it stands then, we're 8 minutes 30 seconds left of this race. Silokova, about 3.6 seconds. The gap between her and Pepper hasn't really increased over the last couple of laps. So Pepper looking pretty strong today. Then we've got Vulvend in P3, Marti P4, Visser then is in P5. We've got Tomaselli in P6, we've got Moore in P7, Marta Garcia then. She'll want to try and get a couple of overtakes as soon as possible here, but that damage is definitely going to affect her moving forward in this race. You can see just in front then, and we've got Moore and Tomaselli. So 2 potential overtakes here. The rear wing, though, of Moore's car is, well, it looks like I've sat on it, to be completely honest with you. It is a bit of a mess. As we head then down in towards turn number 1 once again. And don't worry about the rear wing here because, well, there you go. Moore is going to make the move up the inside. Tomaselli makes a mistake. And Marta Garcia with a freebie. Moore there nearly loses it on the curb. We've seen 2 big accidents today due to those curbs here at Bathurst. And that was nearly a third there. They were all so close. They would have all been caught up with it. And you can see that even with the damage to the front wing, we've got an equally damaged car in front here of Sarah Moore. And Marta Garcia is going to try and get 2 for the price of 1 then. Almost 3 wide. It is going to be 3 wide. Up towards then the opening here of the mountain. You can see then Marta Garcia, there you go. That's the difference there with the aero, the front wing there, all bent out of shape, and you just can't have that much confidence with a car.
Well, I think actually all 4 of the drivers you see in this battle have some form of damage. I mean, this is, look, you can see Sarah Moore's got front wing damage, Marta Garcia, I'm pretty sure Tomaselli did as well. So this is sort of, for Marta Garcia, she needs to be at the front of this train because you've got Visser, who's obviously going to finish in front of him unless she makes a mistake herself. You can see it's 9 seconds the gap to Visser now for Sarah Moore. So in terms of the points and minimising any sort of deficit, Marta Garcia, she needs to finish 6th here and hope that Visser doesn't catch the girls in front and sort of gain any more points. If she finishes 1 place behind Visser with damage, that for me is not the end of the world when it comes to the points that she will have lost.
It's a really good point as well because the difference between P1 and P2 is a big points margin. But the difference between P5 and P6 isn't so much. So she would lose points on Visser, but she gained a lot more in race number 1. So a big opportunity here for Marta Garcia. And, you know, we know that she is going to play this sensibly. We know she's going to try and get it done relatively soon, but ultimately she's not going to put her race at risk. As we come down the Comrade Straight, it looks like she is just about ahead here of Moore. And, well, is Moore going to be able to indeed try and get back in the position? Not quite. She just tucks in there, tries to get a bit of slipstream to maybe potentially get an opportunity here around the outside of the chase. Not quite going to be able to. She held her line there. She has held a line. And actually, to be fair, Marta Garcia's got damage to the front of the car, but Moore has it on the front and the back here. So that car must be an absolute dog to drive right now. Down towards that final corner then. Squeezing Moore out wide there. Perfect amount of room left there. Compromised the entrance of Sarah Moore. But ultimately, job done for Marta Garcia.
Yeah, she really needs to focus on this exit from turn 1 here. If it's a good exit and she doesn't run wide, looks pretty clean to me. This could be job done, and that's what she needs really. She needs now to start opening this gap up in sector 2 over Sarah Moore, really establish herself in 6th position. You see Visser is only, she's about 6.5 seconds behind Marty, so for me that looks like that position pretty wrapped up, and I think Visser will end up finishing 5th here. But Marta Garcia, she can't afford really to finish 7th here. This has got to be a minimum of 6th position for her to sort of stay in the hunt for the championship.
Isn't this the stuff the champions are made of, though? You know, a little bit of adversity, a little bit of damage to the car, and still performing at this level. You know, only going to be losing minimal points to Visser as it stands. Visser, although, is closing in on Neri and Marty. So Marty is going to feel the presence of Visser very, very shortly. Pepper, to be fair, she's absolutely flying right now. She's in P2, 3.2 seconds behind. I wonder if Sidokova may be struggling with tyre temperatures that we did mention earlier on in the broadcast. Again, 3.2 seconds. Vulvend, though, she's looking very good here. But actually, I think Neri and Marty might be going quicker as well here. She's only 1.7 seconds behind. And Vissa is going to probably hope that Marty does indeed catch up to P3 here. They have a little bit of a ding-dong over the mountain and lose a load of time, and then she has an opportunity of closing in on that podium. And this is what Vissa's done so well. She's been able to maximize points every single round. I think the only time she's not maximized the points was at Watkins Glen, where she made that big error. But that's one chink in the armor over a 30-race season. That's ridiculous, Billy.
Yeah, she has been super consistent. She's been, particularly in race 2, we've seen some great drives from her. And to be fair, at a circuit like this, to go from the back of, or one off the back of the grid, from 16th up to 5th, I think she'd be pretty chuffed with where she's finishing already. But as much as she's chuffed with how her progress has been, Marta Garcia, with damage, is still in 6th position. So it must be a bit frustrating for Vissa, because it seems like no matter what she does at the minute, Marta Garcia is still there or thereabouts. Even if she's making mistakes, they're only small mistakes and it's not costing her a lot of points. But this is where, like you say, Vissa will be really hoping that Marty, who's only actually 1.1 seconds behind Volven now, so the gap is closing. If they start battling with the pace that Vissa in general has, we've seen it in qualifying, her getting pole position, it could potentially be like a last lap dash for that end of the podium spot. And if she got a podium, Vissa, that would really, for me, sort of eliminate any chance of a Marta Garcia comeback. I mean, even with the amount of races we've got left, you said it before, one chink in the armour, and I think that will get her confidence back up if she could get a podium from the back of the grid here.
Yeah, it'd be a huge result. You know, that we have circuits where it favours, well, not favoured, no circuit favours driving from the back, but there's a circuit we've had previously where it's a lot easier to indeed safely negotiate the pack if you are just that much quicker, which Vissa has proven. And this is not one of those circuits that favours that. So she could get a freebie podium here. She would absolutely love that. Marty is closing in, you're right. And as much as we are discussing Vissa and indeed Marta Garcia, they are the two, I would say, title protagonists right now. They are the strongest drivers in the field. We still have a race on our hands here. Sirokova, again, losing a little bit of time here, but again, maybe doing what Marta did in race number 1 and just managing that gap. She's such a good front runner, is Sirokova. Pepper then, looking for another podium here today. She's been incredible in the second half of this season. Volven, though, I think this might be her first podium as well, so a big opportunity here, although Neria Marti is closing that gap hugely here. So Neria Marti then 0.7 of a second behind Vissa, only 4.5 seconds now behind Neria Marti. We then got a 20-second gap then to Marta Garcia. Garcia is losing around about 4 seconds a lap then to the drivers in front due to the damage of the car. So to get a P6 with that pace deficit is absolutely huge. We've got more than in P7 who just not able to keep with the pace of Marta Garcia, unfortunately, also with a damaged car. Agron then 6.4 seconds behind in P8. Tomaselli is in P9. And then rounding out your top 10 is Belen Garcia. Sidokova still leads by 2.9 seconds. You can see Neria Marti has caught up to the back then of Volven. And are we going to see a little dash here for the podium? I believe we've got one more lap remaining here as it stands. I could be wrong. I think it's one more lap. It's going to be close. It's going to be really, really close here, but I think it's going to be the last lap. So I don't think Bathurst is close enough, unless, as we've seen before, there might be a little bit of contact then up over towards the start of the mountain. We are now on the descent through what I'd like to call the Monaco of Australia, this part of the circuit. We then go through the left-hander here. And again, you've got to get on the power nice and early, but it's so easy to over-rotate the car there, because again, you lose all sense of weightlessness. But Neria Marti, she want to be this close as they do indeed come out the exit of the mountain onto Conrod Straight. She's too close now, really, to make a move. There's no real margin for error around here. You do not want to be going side by side. Again, the jet wash of the car is indeed going to affect your drivability. You don't want to be hitting the curbs. You do not want to be touching any of the walls. You just want to make sure that you are in a position to take full advantage on the final back straight here. So we come down in towards the dipper then. And again, just see a little bit of a mistake there by Volven, but she's doing a great job here. She'll want to hold on to this podium as best she possibly can. Sidokova leading by 2.9 seconds. Looks like she will get yet another victory. Tasmin Pepper looking like she's going to get another podium here in second spot. It's all about who's going to get third position. Vissa closed up by 2 seconds over the mountain section. I don't think she's going to be close enough to indeed get a third or a fourth position. Here we go then. Neria Marti, she's done the hard work over the mountain. She's just stayed close enough to give herself an opportunity down in towards the chase then for the very final time here for race number 2. And she does take that podium spot here. Can Volven bite back though? Down in towards the chase then for the final time. A couple of corners to go here. Bit too much curb there for Neria Marti. Unsells the car, but indeed gets on the power early enough. And well, it's one more corner to negotiate. Sidokova will take the race victory here. It will be Tasmin Pepper in second, but who will get third? You can see that Neria Marti there goes in very, very defensive here. And can Volven get on the power early enough? Not quite going to work out. I don't think it is a bit of a drag race. Not quite close enough, but Neria Marti at the death here takes the final podium spot. Volvend indeed will finish in 4th spot. Visser, with a great performance from the back of the grid, will take P4. And Marta Garcia, against all of the odds, only loses 1 position to Visser. But what a race it was. Sidakova, we didn't really see it on camera there, but she dominated once again. She's such a good front runner. But that battle for P3, how good was that?
Yeah, that was great. Last lap as well. I mean, Volvend must be gutted to lose that position on the last lap. It's such a difficult thing to do, especially race 2. She knows that she's not the quickest driver and that she's always in that situation looking at her mirrors trying to not lose positions. So it must be frustrating to lose it on the last lap after doing such a good job of managing that gap the whole way through the race. I thought she was going to sort of hold on to that podium, but didn't quite work out for her. Neria Marti is obviously very quick. We've seen her qualifying in recent performances. She's done very well. Visser, again, another clean drive, which is what she needed. And Marta Garcia, a very good drive, but there was a chink in the armour. She did have damage. She sort of limited her options. She could have been, with what we saw of her in race 1, she could have been challenging Visser and the girls in front and the drivers that are up the front, but she did a great job of managing her damage.
Let's just take a look at the leaderboard after 2 races tonight. And despite all the action, Marta Garcia winning that first race, Sidakova winning the second, we can still see that there's still 51 points between Bajtska Visser and Marta Garcia. Luke will explain more about that in just a moment. Both drivers having scored 30 points so far tonight. Sidakova still in third, 277 points. A good night so far for Nerea Marti. She climbs up to 4th, which means that Caitlin Wood and Tasman Pepper drop down. Ella Agren still in 7th. Garcia, Moore and Powell round out the top 10. So look, I suppose it's just those fine margins of those fastest laps and always being there to take those opportunities that is keeping that gap solid between Bajtska Visser and Marta Garcia.
Yeah, couple that with Visser always just being there or thereabouts in the top 3 across the whole season. It's been incredible. So just to have a little explanation here. So Marta Garcia has earned 30 points today through the races alone, and Visser has earned 28. So Marta Garcia is doing exactly what she needs to do, try and take those points out of Visser each and every week, although it might be a little bit late now. We hope it's not. But every single week, Visser just keeps getting fastest lap after fastest lap, and that's been the difference. So she's gained 2 fastest laps today, which means that she's gone 28 points plus 2, 30 each. So nullified the advantage that Garcia has gained, and it just goes to show that how good those two really are. You know, there's so many different factors. We've got qualifying, we've got the race, and then you've got the outright raw pace of a fastest lap during the races. There's loads of different factors here, and they're both just so strong.
And Billy, in that case, I think Marta Garcia will be even more frustrated that she had that damage to her car in race 2, because if it wasn't as damaged as it was that front wing, she might have made an attempt on Visser.
Yeah, she would have at least been able to hang with Visser. And in that position, obviously in race 1, Marta Garcia leading and Visser being in second and sort of chasing her down, it's always more likely that we see a fastest lap from Visser, who we know is obviously, when it comes to qualifying, has had the edge as well. Marta Garcia, when she's leading, she's obviously probably holding a bit back to sort of manage the gap and stuff like that, which is why in some scenarios it's a bit unfortunate for her that she's not sort of got an opportunity really to go for that fastest lap. She misses out on that point, and it seems like whenever she does, Visser always gains it. And then obviously in the race 2 with the damage, there was no chance of her getting fastest lap. We saw she was miles off the pace of the front runners, and for her, she'll be quite frustrated really, because she's done a good job. She got the damage in race 2, which obviously for her cost her a few points, I would have thought. But when it comes to race 3 now, she's really got to, for me, win the race fastest lap, and that's sort of, she needs to do that to sort of take any inroad out of the gap in the championship. And with only the number of races are coming down, so it needs to be done sooner rather than later for her.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to one of the most experienced drivers on the grid, when it's different genres of motorsport, it's got to be Abby Eaton. And yet when it comes to single-seater racing, she's still getting to grips with it.
Yeah, I've raced for 17 years and I've raced all sorts of stuff, just recently in Rallycross as well. So I think I'm quite an adaptable driver. The kind of beauty, I guess, with W Series is that the cars are so level, it's up to the driver to get the best out of the cars. Never done single-seaters. It's a completely different ballgame to what I'm used to driving, so it will be interesting to kind of fine-tune and switch what I'm used to doing and get it sorted for single-seaters. For me, it was watching the last round of W Series, and I think it was when Emma Kimmelainen said, I'm coming back next year and I'm going to win it.
Emma Kimmelainen with her second podium 19 championship season.
And at that point I thought, oh, I've probably got to do this. And I think as the year's gone on, people have actually gone, wow, like these girls can drive, and you know, it's not, after you know, please overtake us. It's good, thick racing. I think people have warmed to it a lot, and the positive kind of feedback you see on social media at the end of the series was extremely high. Absolutely, I'm in competition mode. I think for me, I'm just going to go out and give it my all, and if my all's not good enough, then it's not meant to be. But I'm a stubborn northern girl, and it's going to take a lot for me not to give up until I've got what I want.
Well, joining me, I'm delighted to say, is the stubborn northern lass, by her own words, definitely not mine. Abby, great to see you. This is a really tricky place tonight, isn't it, for single-seater racing?
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit of a baptism of fire, really. Bathurst is one of my favourite circuits, but to have a field of 20 single-seaters go around it, as you've seen, provides a little bit of carnage.
Yeah, you were sort of wrong place, wrong time in race 2, but you did manage to work your way back up a bit.
Yeah, you know, lucky that other people had a little bit of bad luck as well. So I was able to come out, and I think I finished 12th in the end. So, you know, points mean prizes at the end of the day, as Billy said a couple of times. So we'll just have to keep coming out and providing what we can do.
This isn't the W Series that you thought you'd be racing in when you got through for 2020, but it's been quite a competitive substitute.
Yeah, definitely. And do you know what? I've really enjoyed, you know, racing against the girls that I'm going to race with next year, hopefully. And just learning, you know, the technique of single-seater driving as well. And I think, as you've probably seen from our results, you know, I started quite far near the bottom, and I'm slowly kind of working my way up. So I think it's been a really good success.
Thanks very much, Abby. Best of luck for the final race of the night. But first, let's get into our final commentary of the night. It's qualifying for race 3 with Luke and Billy.
Thank you, Lee. Here we go then. It is qualification for race number 3, round number 8 here at Bathurst. And of course, I can't do this on my own. I need the excitable Billy Munger. How you doing?
I don't think I can be as excitable as you just were there with that opening line, but I'm here anyway. Looking forward to some good racing.
Yeah, it should be good. Should be really, really good. Bicycle Vista then, in qualification. Can she get another pole position here? Of course, she has not scored as many points as Marta Garcia in terms of the racing, but the fastest laps, which she seems to be able to get for free every single time. She's that good. She has now nullified that 2-point advantage that Marta had, and they both scored 30 points. So it comes down to the final race today. And again, as much as Marta Garcia has probably been the strongest in this championship over the last couple of weeks, Vissa still keeps hanging in there, and she's got a huge points advantage. So lots of positives for her to take here. And well, one big positive is she's done a 2:06.8, and she takes provisional pole. But no, Marta Garcia then has indeed taken provisional pole off of her, and Vissa is around about 0.4 of a second off of her qualifying time in the previous session in race number 1. And you can see that it's about 1.5 advantage then from Marta Garcia. So the times aren't as quick as race number 1, so there's plenty of room for these drivers to improve, Billy. Yeah,
plenty. I mean, we saw a 2:05 actually in practice, and it didn't quite get delivered in qualifying, but obviously the pressure's on in qualifying. It's 3 laps. Obviously getting the tyres in the right window. There's lots of factors that come into it, where in practice you've got a lot more time to play around with these things, and we've normally seen Vissa is always the closest to her practice time when it comes to qualifying. You get the odd surprise of someone who maybe delivers a slightly quicker lap than they did in practice, which is always a nice surprise for us to see. Marta Garcia, will she be able to get down into the 2:05s? Will Vissa come back? There's still plenty of this qualifying session left to go.
Oh, I did a bit of digging, a bit of investigating about this, Billy, because we've been discussing about why they've not been quite hitting their practice times. And while there's an option in iRacing where the rubbering of the track, so of course they put more rubber down. This is me trying to teach you how to suck eggs at this point, Billy. You know all about this, but they put more rubber down in practice, but then it gets scrubbed. So there's an option where you can leave it so that the next session starts from where the previous session ended. but it gets scrubbed every time. So they start with basically a green track. So that's what what I did with my research. So that will be happening in the race as well. So if you leave that ticked, you can indeed go from practice into qualifying into race, and it just indeed goes to more optimal track state over the course of the sessions. But that doesn't matter here. It's a green track every single time they start a session, which I think is probably a better option. I think it makes it a little bit more exciting. So very unlikely that we're going to see a 2:05 here, because of course they've got an hour to put all that rubber down in practice. Although Bicyclevissa does Bicyclevissa things. Like we said, we're living in a Bicyclevissa world right now, and she might just about go and prove me wrong. She's done it pretty much every single week. Shows how much I know about commentary. And well, there's a 2:06.5, so she does take pole position, not quite hitting her practice times here. Marta Garcia now into second position, but Marta Garcia seems to be able to start again. This is just ridiculous, Billy. Every time I mention someone on pole position, someone else takes it. And again, it's Marta Garcia on pole position. Caitlin Wood, then, qualifying specialist over this esports series, is in third. And what is very, very interesting here is how close the times are. We always see it in race number 3, that everyone hooks it up, gets a very, I don't know, maybe uses their experience with the circuit. A few drivers who may not have put as much practice in, they all start hitting absolute worldy times. And as it stands right now, a 2:06.4 is your pole position time. And I believe that's very, very close, if not just a touch quicker than our first race qualifying.
Yeah, I think, well, like you mentioned with the green circuit, they've had one opportunity to drive on it with a 3-lap qualifying that they did in the first qualifying session for race 1. So now all that experience counts for lap time and gains that you're going to see in this session. I think with 2 laps on the board already, they seem to be very close, and obviously the gap that Visser had in the first qualifying was actually quite significant compared to the small margin of 800ths that Garcia's got now. So this is a tight session. They've still got one more lap. They've got the sort of bankers in at this point, and now it's going to be last lap dash. We saw Marta Garcia actually have a huge off in the last lap of qualifying in the first session, so will she be able to hold it all together and maybe find even more time? That would be cool to see a last lap dash between all these front runners. But yeah, still got to do the job.
Starting to sense it, Billy. You're like a boiling kettle right now. You're close. You're close. You're getting excited. You're getting more excited here on race number 3. It's good to see. Again, are these drivers going to put on a hell of a show in race number 3? Get us all excited. Make me lose my voice. I don't mind. If it's anything like Suzuka, I am on board. That's for sure. Last chance then, Saloon, for these drivers here. We know the Visser is a head-on circuit. Of course, in qualifying, they're on the circuit on their own, so no one can impede each other, but they are all in the same session. So Visser then, has she found any improvement here? Currently 0.08 of a second then away from Marta Garcia. Across the line she will go, and she does take pole by 2.5 of a second. Can we go on board with Marta Garcia though? Because we know she's behind, and there we go. So across the line there for Marta Garcia, and has she found any improvement here? Across the line, and is it going to be enough? It's not going to be enough then. So Visser has found that extra time here at the DEF in qualifying. Marta Garcia twice was able to overturn the deficit, but third time is a charm for Visser. She will take pole position. Pepper, we're on board with, is in P5 as it stands then, but it will be indeed Visser, Marta Garcia, and Caitlin Wood, which has been pretty much the top 3 in qualifying this whole esports series, well, especially the last sort of 4 or 5 rounds, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, Visser there did a great last lap. We saw it actually in reverse order in the first qualifying, where she put in the banker that got her pole on her first lap and then didn't really improve as the qualifying session went on. So she's definitely changed a few things, learned from any mistakes she maybe got from maybe over pushing in the first qualifying, and to get pole position again by a healthy margin, 2 tenths, but it is close. It's a long lap. We're over 2 minutes in lap time, so 2 tenths, as much as it is a noticeable gap, that over the course of 24 corners around here in Bathurst, that is like 100th a corner, which is absolutely nothing.
We'd both be doing our research today then. Me with the old lobby setup, and you with the corner numbers. This is good. We're almost going to be professional by the end of this, Billy. I'll tell you, this is great stuff. But it is indeed Visser who will take pole once again. And Marta Garcia, she's going to have to try and rely on those lightning quick starts, Billy. Is she going to be able to do it again?
Well, actually, yeah, in the first race, her start wasn't to her standards anyway, as good as we've seen from her in previous races. What actually really made a difference for her was the exit out of turn 1, which was really amazing, considering that the pressure she was under from third place on the grid, because her start wasn't up to scratch. But she's now alongside again. It's the same sort of scenario with Visser and Garcia again. Maybe the same battle up the main straight up into the hill section here at Bathurst. It's all going to kick off. Garcia needs the points more than Visser does, so will she be aggressive? We'll have to wait and see.
I think you're spot on. I think the fact that Marta Garcia has been so known for getting off the line so quickly has made Visser make the mistake on lap number 1 by going in very acutely into turn 1 and indeed losing a lot of momentum then up towards the mountain section, as you said. But here we go then. It's race number 3 here at Bathurst. And I tell you what, Visser has got off the line pretty well here. First phase was good. Second phase, very, very good as well. But Marta Garcia is very close in behind. But I tell you what, Visser has done a hell of a job here. She has done what she needs to do. We've got a car going backwards there. That is definitely not the right way around this circuit as we head then up in towards turn number 2. Using that slipstream here then, Marta Garcia will want to do exactly what she did in race number 1, but she's going to have to go the long way around if she's going to get this done. Visser goes defensive here then. Marta Garcia oh no, she's not going to be able to quite do it here, but actually Visser makes a bit of a mistake then. Running a little bit wide then on the exit of turn number 2, up towards turn number 3. They are side by side here. Marta Garcia going to play it clever. She does. She just sticks in behind then of Visser. And well, actually, the front 4 very close indeed. It looks like Woods held on to P3 as it stands. Neria Marti then is in P4. Pepper is in P5. For me, they are the 5 quickest drivers across this championship. Maybe sprinkling with Sidakova as well, but she's down into P9 by the looks of things. So not a good start here again in race number 3 for Sidakova, of course, winner from race number 2. I tell you what, it's an electric, lightning, quick, clean start here from the front 5 at the very least here. Visser leads to Marta Garcia 0.2 of a second. Wood then P3 as they come down towards the dipper here. Marti then is in P4. Pepper is in P5, and then Agron, Bell and Garcia are in P6 and 7. And the front 7 have just got away here. Kimmerleinen 1.2 seconds then off the pace, but through this mountain section, drivers being as close as they are. I tell you what, that's a mistake from Visser. She's gone in far too tight there. Marta Garcia, though, will indeed have the run here down the Comrade Straight, Billy, and I think we might see a change for the lead.
Yeah, we saw Visser actually in the first race. She struggled quite a lot in the opening laps. She actually came under a lot of pressure from Caitlin Wood. And now look, Garcia's up the inside here. I mean, it's going to be the outside for the next corner, but she looks like she's got the move done now on Visser. That's a great pass. She needs to defend the inside here. Don't let Visser up the inside. Great defensive positioning there on the entry to this corner. She's locked up.
Big mistake! She's gone! So Visser's tried to bite back there. Marta Garcia goes defensive, and well, Visser has done everything she needs to do, just put a lot of pressure on there, and Marta Garcia now, well, she's P10, so not what she needed to see here, and Visser's been given an absolute gift to potentially go out and win this race. She's now 2.8 seconds clear of Wood. Marti then P3, Pepper P4, Agron in P5. Every single one of those drivers are in a massive fight here. Look at this, like a car park then into turn number 1 as we're on board then with Marti, who's been again gifted a P3 as it stands. But look at the train of cars behind. It's like a group of bumblebees. Look at this crazy stuff right now. But the big fact here is that Marta Garcia, I don't believe will have had any damage from that. So she didn't hit any walls or anything. As we come up towards turn 2, don't worry about that. Look at this. Almost contact then between these drivers. Marti now in P2, trying to defend from Pepper. Pepper trying to defend from Wood. These 3 going so close here. Almost a bit of a mistake there. This is the perfect opportunity now for Visser to drive away. Wood then trying to get P3 again here as Pepper tries to advance as well. And this is the racing action we wanted to see at Bathurst.
Well, this is wheel-to-wheel stuff. I mean, there's literally about 2 temps between every single driver there in the battle from 2nd down to about 8th and 9th. So this is wheel-to-wheel. I can't see this lasting without there being any contact, though. I mean, round a circuit like this, the person at the back of this queue will be able to barely see anything, so it'd be so easy to miss a braking point or something like that. And what a shame that is for Marta Garcia to lock up there. I said her defensive positioning on the entry to the corner was very good, but we've seen her be very aggressive on the brakes before. She's always sort of one of the last of late breakers, and there it just seemed like she got the move done, and she was just trying a bit too much in terms of being aggressive on the brakes and not trying to let Visser back pass, and that has cost her massively.
Yeah, well, Visser's sort of almost faked the move, hasn't she? She's gone, right, I'm going to make it look like I'm coming back at you. She tried to get into the slipstream as soon as possible to then sort of almost pretend she's got more momentum going in towards the chase there. And, well, it didn't work out. And Marta Garcia, she fell for it, hook, line and sinker, and went off the circuit here. But look at this. Wood then trying to make a potential move on Pepper. Pepper trying to hold on to another podium. 2 podiums today would be absolutely huge here. But Caitlin Wood showing excellent race pace today, which has been a little bit lacking over the course of the season, I would say. Again, qualifying pace has been exceptional. But race pace just not quite there. And Agron taking full advantage. It locks up. Oh, bit of contact maybe between those 2 drivers. Agron is trying to just about hold on to P5 from Bell and Garcia. Bell and Garcia is now under pressure here from Sarah Moore. We've got Sidakova in P8 also closed right up here. And Kimmerleinen just for good measure. And now all of a sudden we've got 8 drivers here battling for what would be a podium spot. This is cracking stuff. And Billy, you're saying that there's going to definitely be contact here. We've got no evidence to back that theory up. They're going to be fine.
I mean, there's a couple of close calls into that last corner. We saw some lock-ups. I think Agrin it was that locked up. But here at the minute, they're doing an amazing job to be this close to each other, wheel to wheel, inside, outside, and like I said, there's some small lock-ups. You can see, I think that's Sidorkova there just run a little bit wide on the exit, and I think she might come under a bit of pressure here from actually Marta Garcia, who's got past Kimmerlein, she's up to 9th now.
Yeah, let's just pretend that Visser is no longer in this race, okay? So Marty leads, Pepper's in 2nd, Woods in 3rd, and it's so close between them all. Of course, we can't pretend that Visser's not in the race. She leads by 4.3 seconds as it stands, and as much as over the last few weeks here, Marta Garcia has been closing up that championship lead. And I thought that there might be a couple of fights, you know, towards the end of the season, and potentially Marta Garcia might be close enough to, in the final round, maybe actually go for the title. But unfortunately, I think with the mistake that's happened here, it's not quite going to work out. So Visser leads 4.3 seconds. Pepper then, Marty in 2nd spot, who's actually made a little bit of a gap then to Pepper, because Pepper's just been in all sorts of bother with Wood behind, Agrin behind as well. They've not given her a moment's peace there. A bit of a lock-up in front there. That was Bell and Garcia. And well, we're on board with Marta Garcia here, and she has now got to try and overtake Sidorkova. And this is the worst thing here. Like, it's not like she's coming through the usual mid-pack. Like, Sidorkova has just won a race. She's flying around here, but Marta Garcia, she's got to try and make this move as early as possible. And there's no damage to the front of that car for Marta Garcia, so that's one positive to take here. Almost a bit of contact there. You can see Sidorkova squeezing. Oh, and Sidorkova gets caught out there. I don't think Marta Garcia is at fault there at all. I think Sidorkova squeezed her. Maybe Marta could have backed out. I'm not too sure whether she got damaged from that. What's your take on that, Billy?
Yeah, for me, she had a wheel alongside, so you've got to, at that point, and it's flat out through that kink. Marta Garcia, in that situation, she's not going to back out. That's not until in her instincts, and rightly so. For me, that's a Sidorkova mistake there. She's just been too aggressive with the defending there, and that has cost her positions. And look at this battle going on ahead. I hope that Marta Garcia hasn't got front wing damage, because I would love to see her get stuck into this battle. She seems to have the red mist in her eyes at the minute. She's obviously very frustrated with making that mistake. She knows how costly that is, but we could see some great overtakes from her. And Caitlin Wood here, I think she's dropping back just behind these two in front. Look how aggressive they were on the brakes there, running side by side. And Sarah Moore's got a poor exit, but this is what we want to see.
This is incredible stuff. This is what Bathurst I was hoping was going to be the case from race 1 and race 2, but it unfortunately hasn't really delivered the close, high-octane action that we are indeed used to now at this point of the esports series. But right now we're getting it. This is the wish we wanted, and it's been granted, and now let's just soak it in and enjoy it. And we're on board then with Caitlin Wood. P6 as it stands then between Agrin and Moore. There's around about 4/10 of a second here. Bit of a mistake there by Agrin, but there's no room to make an overtake here then, as we start the descent on the mountain here at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. And it's just normal service resumed. You've kind of only really got one line through this part of the circuit here. A couple of lockups though, which is going to be music to the ears there for Caitlin Wood. She's going to be sensing that, and this is what you've got to do around these technical circuits. You've got to figure out who is struggling and who's not, Billy, and who you can attack.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see it seems to be like every corner, one of them's got a slight edge on the other, and we look at that, we're side by side there. This could be 3 wide here. Oh my god, what is going on down this back straight? It seems that Caitlin Wood's got a great run. Agrin's behind her. Marta Garcia, look, she's involved in this now. She's going for the same move. Oh no, she's decided to back out of that move that obviously caused the contact with Sidorkova. And if this isn't contact, I don't know. I think this is just great racing, if not.
Oh man, this is unbelievable stuff. Caitlin Wood then, well, she momentarily got a great drive there through the entrance of turn 1, momentarily loses the position then to Moore. Moore moves up into P4, and Marta Garcia now trying to make it double whammy here, down towards that final corner, and Marta Garcia does indeed make the move stick, and surely this is going to come to tears at some point. This is ridiculous stuff. Great racing here then for our 3rd race here at Bathurst. Marta Garcia having to go defensive. You're seeing indeed how strong the toe is around a circuit such as this. But again, you go through turn 1 and it's not over yet, because now you've got the long run up towards turn number 2. Visser leads by 4.7 seconds. She's off. She's gallivanting off on her own here. Marty then in 2nd by 4.7. Pepper now 5.2 behind P2 here. And well, next up then for Marta Garcia is Sarah Moore, who's currently in P4. But look at this then, Wood up the inside of Agrin. And oh dear, that is not going to work out there at all. And well, just skates off there. And again, it's one of those corners where it's cambered on the inside, but on the outside it's completely flat. And if you just get one wheel up there, you're a passenger.
Yeah, she just looked like, to me, she was just too late at the brake. She was mirror watching a bit. She had a big train of cars behind her, granted, so she was under a lot of pressure in that braking zone, and it just looked like she just got a bit greedy on the brakes. Maybe Marta Garcia sort of obviously in front of her, it looked like she kind of braked too late, knew it she had, but also at the same time didn't want to take Marta Garcia out, and she was arrowing towards her and obviously avoided that contact. Emma Kimalainen there, we've seen her make that mistake in race 2, running wide there.
She loves that curb.
Yeah, she really, it seems to be struggling with a bit of understeer. She always seems to run wide on the exit there, but she's kept it all composed, she's kept it on the track. And in this situation, when you've got that many cars battling in front of you, you need to keep it on circuit. Look, we're seeing another lock up here. Who was that on the outside there? I think that's Belen Garcia.
She's lapped down.
Okay, we've got a lap car.
Yeah, so she's lapped down. She's just trying to get out of the way here. Look at the cars in front, though. It is just action, action, action then. Here we go. It is Marta Garcia versus Sarah Moore. We saw Marta Garcia make a move on the inside of this corner before, and now she's going to have to go the long way around here. And she will have the inside line, though, through the next left-hander. And, well, she's going to get it done here. Got to hit your braking point, though, Marta. You don't want to be running off into that gravel again. And, well, the move is well and truly done there. And let's talk now about the standings here, Billy. You know, with Vissa winning this race, regardless of what happens with Marta Garcia, she's going to extend the championship lead. But right now, Marta has to finish second, right? She has to finish second.
Yeah, I mean, she needs to get as many points as possible. She needs the fastest lap for sure. I don't think... Well, we've got 9 minutes on the clock, so she is very lucky that this is the longest race of the weekend here. She has time on her hands, but the two in front of her, Marty and Pepper, they're quick drivers. 4.2 seconds to Pepper. That's a huge margin to try and narrow down. So I'd be impressed if she managed to catch that back up, but we've seen her come back from bigger gaps before.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Vissa's up to right now, because she's dropped about a second and a half. Whether that's because she's come through a pack or whether she may have just tagged the wall somewhere. It might be worth to seeing whether she may have some front wing damage. No, looks like she's all good there. So I'm going to say that was more to do with coming through lapped traffic. But again, she needs to do what Marta did in the first race, just manage that gap, just make sure you do indeed cross the line here. So regardless where Marta finishes right now, she is going to extend the championship lead. You know, it could be as little as 3 points, but 3 points is better than 0. That is for sure. And Garcia, of course, was leading this race. Now 3.8 seconds between Pepper and Garcia in P3 and P4. But I tell you what, the battle behind all of this is still happening. Agron and Belen Garcia are going at it toe for toe right now. Again, Agron's not going to be able to make a move here, that's for sure. But as we come down then through the dipper, there we go. You can see a little bit of a mistake there again. You get one corner wrong here, Billy, and you're compromised for the next 4 or 5.
Yeah, this is a real tough sequence. It's left, right, going downhill, off cambered corners. I mean, there's so much opportunity to lock a front. We even see on the best line through that last left-hander before this back straight here that people in general lock up most laps, and that's because it's downhill, it's cambered. And to be honest, you always seem to snatch the inside front there. But the quick line is to carry the speed through it. You just got to make sure you don't lock up enough that you run wide and hit those walls on the exit. Agron here, she's doing well to hang with Belen Garcia here. And obviously you've got Sarah Moore ahead of them. So this could be another three-way battle for position. This battle is far from over. We've got 7 minutes left of this race. Plenty of time to see some more change for position here.
Yeah, I think Agron's the quickest out of these three, if I'm honest. Like, I think she showed that over the top of the mountain, but I think what's got indeed Belen Garcia out of jail there is the toe from Moore in front. But look at this already. Marta Garcia has managed to gain a 3-second advantage over Moore on that previous lap, so that's huge. 1 lap there. We've just had a car off the circuit. I'm assuming that's a back marker. I think that might be Abby Eaton, unfortunately there. I thought it might be one of the front runners making a big error, but it isn't. But again, it's 4.3 seconds there. So yeah, definitely Vissa was coming through the pack, I think, in terms of back markers, and that's why she lost a bit of time. She's now back up to normal pace. But yeah, Marta Garcia, like we said, I think she has to finish second in this race. But if there's 2 people you don't want in front of you to have to make an overtake, it'd be Pepper and Marty. Those 2 have been very, very quick. Of course, both race winners as well. So yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah, for me, she's not going to finish in second position in this race. No matter how quick she is, with only 6 minutes, it's a 2-minute lap. She'd have to take multiple seconds out of Marty, and I just don't think that there's the pace gap there at the minute to achieve that. She has, however, taken a second on that last lap out of Pepper. So, saying that with about a 3-second gap, she may be on for the podium over Pepper here, but I can't see it being a P2, and I can just, in general, tonight's racing it's gone the way of Vissa. She's been consistent. She did well in race 2. Even in the first race where she came second, she again had the fastest lap. She just seems to pick up the points on a consistent basis. We haven't actually seen many mistakes at all from Marta Garcia in the last 3 rounds. She's been mistake-free, really, which is what has closed this gap up and made it interesting. But tonight, when it counted, she made that crucial error. and it wasn't sort of an error that cost her 1 position, it cost her 9. It's a big error.
Yeah, huge error. Well, we're talking about, you know, it's going to be very unlikely she gets P2, but the difference between real racing and sim racing is they will have the relative right in front of them on their screen. You don't have the relative in your helmet on, you know, when you're racing in a real race car. So seeing the gap coming down, whether they got crew chief as well working, they'll be being told what the gap is. Of course, you guys in the real racing world, you get told by your crew chief yourself, but you can also tell them to shut up. We've seen that happen many a time. So Pepper will have now the pressure, not only of racing at Bathurst, which you're racing against the track on its own anyway, let alone anyone else on track, but then you're seeing someone taking out half a second every sector. That's going to add even more pressure on. But it doesn't matter right now because Marta Garcia hasn't really closed the gap. But look at this then. P6, P6, P7 and P8 are so close here still. And well, any one of these 3 drivers could indeed take a P6, I would say, at this point of the race. Bella Garcia leads this little group, then Agron, and then Kimmerleinen just in behind. And Kimmerleinen, she had a very good start to this season. Of course, she got the race 2 victory in round 1 and 2. Just fallen off the pace ever since then. This is an opportunity for a little bit of redemption. I'll say again, it's not quite a race victory, but she'll want to try and showcase, you know what, I'm still here. I'm still capable of big performances. And well, no bigger opportunity than here at Bathurst to try and get these 2 overtakes.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen through this league so far is that hard work and the hours you put into sim racing is the same in real life. The hard work pays off, and I think some of the drivers, obviously with other commitments and stuff like that, we've seen some drivers make huge progress over the rounds, like Marta Garcia. The last 3-4 rounds she's been sort of really in a league of her own, but the first few rounds she was struggling to be consistent on the podium. So for me, she's been a really improved driver. But you've seen the likes of Kimmerleinen, who was getting great results at the start, kind of not continue that progress in the same way. So there's definitely been, obviously, like I say, time restraints and other commitments that have changed the way that the drivers sit in the standings. Obviously, we've had some drivers drop out as well, like Alice Powell. She's been away for the last few rounds, and she was consistently in the top 5, and now she's outside the top 10, and she hasn't really had a good 3 races tonight. So yeah, that's it's just down to time and the commitment you put into this sort of series.
For sure, absolutely for sure. You can see there that Belen Garcia nearly made a move there on Moore. Moore closed the door as quickly as it opened, though. And as it stands now, it looks like Moore may have made a mistake here, because now Belen Garcia, Agron, and Kimmerleinen make it a 4-way battle then for position. Moore then just gets a bit of a really good exit out of the final corner, to be fair. And now these 3 drivers just in behind. So Belen Garcia leads this little, it's like a Tour de France peloton right now, trying to catch up here for that top 5. Again, if you can't get a race win or a podium, the top 5 is the next thing you're looking for. And while these 2 are battling, it does give Moore an opportunity just to drive away. And Moore just looks like she has more pace, ironically. Even though she definitely made a mistake. She wasn't in this battle last lap, so I think she's made a genuine mistake somewhere, and now she's able to drive away again. So looks like there's no damage to the car. But again, it's normal service regime then. It's Agron, Belen Garcia, and Kimmerleinen all trying to chase down Sarah Moore. 1 minute 56 seconds on the clock. So I think we're going to have 1.5 laps remaining of this race. Visser leads 4.6 seconds. Again, she did look like she was losing time through the mid part of this race, but that must have been down to back markers, that's for sure. But this is the battle right now then. Marta Garcia, I think she needs to finish at least second in this race to really have any chance moving into rounds number 9 and rounds number 10. But can she just get that 1 more position, and maybe enough pressure then with, you know, Neri and Marty might just see indeed that Marta Garcia is behind her and then make a mistake, because is she going to be more frightened of Marta Garcia or Pepper? To be fair, both of them have been, for me, the two most improved drivers over the course of this esports league. But I think she's going to be a little bit more frightened if Garcia is behind her than Pepper. So Garcia now has to just put the pressure on. That's all she can do right now. She can make this overtake for P3, but it's all about piling just time pressure at the end of the day. It would be 5.5 seconds if she does get the overtake on Pepper. But again, it's no easy task here trying to make an overtake here on Tasman.
No, not at all. And I think we're looking at the gap now between them. Unless she gets this done before the last lap, I think for me this battle is going to continue over the last lap between the 2. I just generally don't think you can see how far ahead the cars are in the distance. That sort of 5-6 second gap. Oh, Marta Garcia's going around the outside. There's contact.
Oh, she's got tagged there. Yeah, I think Marta Garcia turned in far too early, and I think she's got the same mindset as me here. I think she knows she has to finish in P2. She had to get the job done as soon as possible. She's moved down to P4. So hold on, what's happened behind then? So what's happened behind here? So Pepper then is holding on to P2, but So Marta Garcia, what's happened with the Belen, Garcia, Kimmelainen and Moore battle? I wonder if there might be contact between the drivers because they were not that far behind, and Marta hasn't lost a position. So I guess she knew that she could try and take that on. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. But for me, she's turning a little bit too early there. Pepper helped her line, and Pepper is going to take another podium here if it stays as it is. But Visser leads 5.4 seconds. Marty in second, and Pepper is in third. And this is a huge leap for Visser to take away the W Series Esports League Season 1 with 2 rounds to go.
Yeah, she's had a great weekend, a great sort of 3 races here tonight. That's been consistent. She did well in race 2, which is where points are really gained for me. I think normally when we've seen big inroads in the championship, it's been from either a mistake from one of the front runners, which we saw obviously last time at Suzuka. Visser made a mistake. She had a poor result, and that's where I was able to Marta Garcia to take 17 points out of the lead in the championship, which is what she needs to carry that momentum in the last 3 rounds. That's what she needed, but she's actually going to lose points. And for me, unless there's any huge dramas over the last few rounds, I think Visser now, that's the Esports League wrapped up for her. I think, in my personal opinion, I think Marta Garcia, I'm seeing too many mistakes from her. Like, that's not something that's been involved in her driving over the last few rounds. She's been very composed and she's made great moves stick, but sort of that turning into early into Pepper, that's something we'd have seen from her early on in the league. And I think she knows that this race here is crucial in swinging the momentum in the league.
Yeah, it's just pressure though. It doesn't matter what level, whether it be sim racing, real world motorsport, you know, whether it be in karts or Formula One, you know, it doesn't really matter. Pressure is a very strange mistress. It could completely change the way you perform in any, well, whether it be motorsport, it could be football, it could be anything. It could be your job, it could be absolutely anything. Indeed, just change the way you look at things. Bajska Visser, by the way, is looking likely she's going to take the victory here. 6.2 seconds in the lead. We're on board with Sidorkova, who is currently in P7. But, well, it's been another dominant display then by Visser, who is indeed crossing the line. And she will take victory here in race number 3. A sensational performance then from Bajska Visser. But race number 3, we've been talking about, you know, maybe Marta Garcia can put the pressure on, potentially close that championship gap. Don't think it's going to happen, Billy. It has been a very, very good display here by Visser. She did indeed lose the lead to Marta earlier in the race. She just piled that pressure on straight back, and she made Marta make a mistake, and that was pretty much race over.
So 3 different races tonight and 3 different winners as well. Visser, Garcia and Sidorkova all getting a win. But what it means for Bajska Visser, though, is that she has extended her lead at the top of the standings by 57 points with that win in the final race, and some good performances before that. Marta Garcia won race 1 tonight, but a couple of costly mistakes after that means that she has got that 57-point deficit to Visser. Arina Sidorkova won the reverse grid race, race 2 of the night. It's been a good night for Nerea Marti, who moves up to 4th. Pepper in 5th. Caitlin Wood, our local girl to Bathurst, is now in 6th. Agrin, Garcia, Moore in 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and Alice Powell rounds out the top 10. But look, 3 races, 3 different winners, good on paper, but some costly mistakes from Marta Garcia in the final race tonight.
Yeah, it was really, especially after race number 1, a big opportunity here to just cut the deficit again. She's been a standout for 2 weeks in a row now, and just wasn't to be, unfortunately. I think, you know, me and Billy were talking earlier, I think the pressure of the situation was more driving the car in race 3 after that mistake than anything else. It's to be expected. Pressure completely changes your mindset, whether in any walk of life, whether it be, you know, just normal jobs or racing or football, whatever you want to call it. And we've seen that today, which is a huge shame. But Bajska Visser picking up the pieces as she does. She's back. It's just incredible to see the talent coursing through that woman's veins.
We have had just so many exciting race circuits, but look, you don't really associate open wheel racing with the Nordschleife, but we've got 3 races there next week.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. The Nordschleife is one of those circuits that you need to treat very, very carefully. You almost need to cuddle the circuit because it will bite you. It will bite you back at every single turn. It's like 170 turns is just madness. Anything can happen. I really have nothing else more than expect anything and everything, because it will probably happen next week.
Yeah, it has been a very long time since we've seen open wheel racing on the Nordschleife. Of course, it was synonymous with a lot of big F1 races in history. But my goodness, we've got 3 races there next week in the W Series Esports Challenge. You do not want to miss it. We'll see you then.